Okay, roger that.
By 2035, we have formed a new breed of elite special forces who are better prepared to manage these latest threats to our global societies. No fear, no retreat.
Recon arrow out.
Stay with it.
Using smoke screen.
Powering up. Let's do this.
Soldiers, you're depleting their numbers. Try to finish them off.
Hold the line. Here comes the last push.
Shots for you.
Hi guys, welcome back. It's your host Craig, and yes, we're going to be talking about Delta Force. I know I promised another video there about it once kind of footage were revealed. I was a bit late coming home today, so I didn't get a chance to kind of jump on this as quickly as possible, but I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you take a moment here, if you do like the video afterwards, hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe. Welcome to the community as well. Let's jump right into it. So, as we saw in the footage there, like there was a lot of action-packed kind of stuff showing off the Battle of Mogadishu, which was quite famous for the original Delta Force game, Black Hawk Down. It's quite nice seeing this kind of coming back to this environment. I will point out some cardinal sins I did notice during the pre-alpha footage, but like once again, it's pre-alpha footage, so I'm hoping it'll be kind of fixed or changed later on when the kind of full game releases. But some, let's say, cardinal sins I noticed right off the bat. I know it's pre-alpha footage, I shouldn't judge it too quickly, but I'm going to be cautiously optimistic here about it. Apart from the additional having the Delta Force units on the ground there, I didn't really see much from the 75th Ranger Wing, the Bravo Company, who were also like on this raid, as well as the ground troops and the Chalks that came down in the Blackhawks. Once again, pre-alpha footage, so I'm hoping that kind of changes over time. But looking at it there, it's kind of like a quite an action-packed looking trailer. It is supposed to oh wow, that looks great. We're gonna have a great time playing this. But a lot of like veterans of the series or people who've watched the movies or looked into the history of it will kind of notice some inaccuracies there. Well, they will. But given that looking at like the ending part of the scene where it gets after the multiplayer segment, we saw actually the Walcott crash site, so Super 6-1. That was quite neat. It was actually looking pretty exact like the movie, basically, where it's in the giant kind of like courtyard area or square area of the downtown Mogadishu, and had me quite excited there because, like, if you remember from the movies or even the game, there was a lot of little bird gun runs during the evening time during that fight. The battle was quite intense, even back on the original game. So I am kind of looking forward to there to see if they kind of hold up to that kind of standard that they did. So looking back on most of the major events, as you know, from the Battle of Mogadishu, which would be the two not the Super 6-4s, sorry, Super 6-4 being Walcott's crash in the initial part of the Battle of Mogadishu, and then the second one being Michael Durant. Actually, if you didn't know about the history, was it there was actually 3 Blackhawks shot down in Mogadishu that day. One of them didn't land in enemy territory; it was evacuated safely, I think. So, looking at major events, we have the raid that goes on, so the initial insertion of Delta Force and Rangers. We also then have later on the movement through the city trying to get to the first crash site, and also the convoy leaving as well to get back to base with the enemy personnel that were captured during the raid. Initially as well, if it was predicted in the movie, there was the scene where Blackburn was evacuated as well, with some members of Delta in a small Humvee column trying to get back to the Somalia International Airport, where Rangers and Peacekeepers were all kind of like hosed up there during the time. So my main point about this rant about the video is I'm really kind of hoping that the raid, the Mogadishu raid on the 2 top lieutenants from the SNA, the Somalian National Alliance, basically, were at the raid site. But when we kind of saw that in the footage there, we only saw Delta. So my main point about this little rant here about it, like as I mentioned there, is like there was a lot more units in this battle during the Battle of Mogadishu, apart from like let's say the UN peacekeeping forces and the 10th Mountain Division, that kind of stuff, like the initial parts of the battle. So like the Brava Company, the 75th Ranger Regiment was also present at the battle as well, and a lot of the major events like securing the first crash site, the Mogadishu Mile, the evacuation of the first crash site as well, like where Rangers and Delta ran out basically of the like the danger zone. There's also the part where we also have like pararescue men who are on station as well in an orbit on the UH-60, so like roping down into the crash sites and securing the survivors and getting them stable. Well, I can imagine there may be some creative liberties with the new Delta Force game that's coming out. Maybe not everything is historically accurate to the actual battle, but hopefully it will take a nod or go towards the idea of how the original games were made, and like look at the military like tacticalness of it and genuinely make it a fun game. As we know, it's a free-to-play game with a single-player story at the moment. I need that to be properly confirmed because there's two studios working on this. One is working on the single-player campaign while the other is working on the multiplayer, which is based in a more near-futuristic kind of like battlefield, basically. Which, I'm willing to try once it kind of releases or we get a chance to actually play it. It is free-to-play. Hopefully it kind of like fills in that gap that was left behind by Battlefields with Battlefield 2042, which did get better over time, but I'm more of a big fan of playing Battlefield Portal than I am the actual base multiplayer. But moving on from Battlefield there, like this is a game that's kind of trying to rival like the big multiplayer giant at the time from EA, which being, Battlefield, which we all know and love, but we're kind of looking at something to fill that void. Maybe this game will fill that void, maybe not. We just have to wait and see. But I do know definitely I will be looking forward to the single player a lot. Like here's hoping there's a cooperative mode where you can actually go with your team and be Delta Force going through the streets of Mogadishu, trying to get the crash sites and do mission objectives to help rescue and secure the first, helicopter crash site. Like that was probably one of the pinnacle things during the actual game itself on the original. That was amazing at the time. Like being like back then being such a young kid playing this game, but also saw the Black Hawk Down movie, it kind of like it compelled me to really enjoy the game and respect the original one, which was developed by Novalogic, which was phenomenal at the time. So my next point about this one here is that my main point is that they have some big shoes to fill, even though like Novalogic kind of went away around 2016. This new company owned by Tencent Studios, who some of the development teams are known for like developing the Call of Duty, like mobile games and stuff like that. There, like I'll emphasize it again, they have big shoes to fill. Like this could either be a great hit and it's going to be a free-to-play game for people to enjoy with a single-player campaign that might be phenomenal, or it might flop. That's my concern there. It might flop and it might not be good. Let's see what happens though. But in regards to multiplayer, apart from the near future stuff, I kind of hope they bring back the original Delta Force one where it was based in the 1993 one, by the way. That would be awesome to see again and possibly even play. That would be phenomenal, basically. Another cardinal sin that I actually have there with the initial part of the trailer was there was no little bird inserts for Delta. It would look like all kind of like the UH-60 landing in the street. That's just a little pet peeve I have. I hope that's not going to be the case when the actual game releases. But I'm kind of like hoping that we kind of see more in the meantime. There is a pre-registration that you can do right now to register for the game. It is a free-to-play game, by the way, so check that out, see how you feel about it, and of course we'll keep covering it here on the channel so you get to know about it. Yeah, so that's me covering most of the main points there, because I was mainly focusing on the Battle of Mogadishu kind of playthrough of there. There may be some near-futuristic single-player story mode too as well, but I'm kind of hoping that the story playthrough of Mogadishu is quite long and enjoyable. And we can get a lot of replayability with it as well. Hopefully down the line, I know it said it's a single player campaign, but you can never know about the game's architect could allow the ability to have co-op. So that's one of my big hopes there, to play with Task Force 21, beat Delta in the streets of Mogadishu, and go into the crash sites and rescuing and stuff like that. But just generally having a great time with very classic style of military shooter again, which has been very much missed among a lot of different communities as well. So that pretty much covers everything at the moment, folks. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So for the moment, just want to big thank you to anyone who watched the end there. Let me know if you watched all the way through, and down in the comment section if you enjoyed the video and how I talked about and my hopes and kind of concerns as well. being more structured instead of being a slightly like, you know, fanboy hype video like my last one. So I do apologize. But if you're brand new to the story, I should say the channel, just remember to hit that like button. If you're new, subscribe. Welcome to the community. We'll love to have you here. So guys, have a good one. Stay safe. Stay tactical.